Hi, and thanks for logging on to the Daily DVAR halacha. And here's a brand new halacha for you, and it's for Friday the 29th day of August. Here we go. One more law on slichos, and then on to more shofar laws. You know that slichos, when they're said in the morning, and after you've chosen the proper chazan for slichos, it is appropriate to offer him the opportunity to then be the chazan for the rest of shacharis, and even for mincha later that day. And that's because of a rule called Kol hamaschil b'mitzvah omrim lo gemar. Whoever starts a mitzvah, we tell him to complete that mitzvah. It's just a way of showing honor to the mitzvah. You've been involved in the mitzvah now. Instead of stepping aside and saying, "Oh, that's enough for me, you take over now," that's obviously a bad attitude, and we want to show a good attitude. So we offer the person who had the beginning of the mitzvah, which was slichos in the early day, we offer him the opportunity to complete it by being the chazan for the rest of the day. That's the more appropriate way to do that. On to more shofar laws for Rosh Hashanah. Throughout Rosh Hashanah, throughout Elul, when we blow the shofar, it's just customary. On Rosh Hashanah, it's a biblical command from God, but when we do it during the month of Elul, it's more meant to awaken us from our slumber and to hear the bells of teshuvah, of repentance coming, and the shofar kind of wakes us up to that each and every morning. For that reason, if you hear the shofar blower make a mistake or the sound doesn't come out so correct one morning during Elul, you don't really have to make him do it again. You would see people doing that on Rosh Hashanah where they're extra careful that every tekiah comes out exactly perfect. But if it comes out a little less than perfect on Elul mornings, it's just customary, really meant to wake us up to repentance. And therefore, if it's not so perfect, it's okay, and you don't have to redo it. For that very reason, we are never blowing the shofar on Erev Rosh Hashanah, on the day before Rosh Hashanah, because we'd like to make a distinction that shows the shofar that you've been hearing throughout the month of Elul is a custom. And then there's a break. And then on the following day on Rosh Hashanah, there's the real shofar blowing that's biblical that God told us to do. And we make a pause in between so that you could clearly see the difference between them. The words of Chazal from the Talmud actually say that we don't blow the shofar on the day before Rosh Hashanah because it confuses the Satan. He's been watching us blow the shofar through. Satan is the one who can work against us by showing God our misdeeds. God can obviously see them, but it's some kind of procedural way that our misdeeds are brought before God. So if the Satan sees us blowing the shofar throughout the month of Elul, and then we suddenly stop, he's like, what? Maybe they're not blowing, and then they suddenly are blowing again on Rosh Hashanah, and it throws off the Satan, and we actually like that. Of course, at a deeper level, that doesn't really make sense. Why can't the Satan figure that out? We do the same trick every single year. So there's much more to it, and there are deep speeches given on what exactly it means when we say we're confusing the Satan. Some say it goes deeper to mean things like on Rosh Hashanah we blow the shofar because the shofar of Rosh Hashanah reminds us of the Akedah. It reminds us of how Abraham was willing to give his son Yitzchak as a sacrifice. And when God told him to stop, Abraham said, I still want to bring a sacrifice. So a ram was stuck by its horn, i.e. shofar, in a bush. And then he said, well, bring that ram instead. So the shofar is a reminder of the Akedah story where God saw Abraham show this great willingness to bring his own son as a sacrifice. Bringing that memory up in front of God, quote unquote, confuses the Satan because he's there to tell God that we're bad, and yet God knows that we're the descendants of the great Abraham and Yitzchak who did that amazing Akedah. So it confuses him in the sense that it throws off his bad idea by showing the tremendous goodness that we have. Anyway, that's the deeper explanation, one of the deeper explanations as to what it means when we say confusing the Satan. Thanks for logging on. Log on again after Shabbos for more. Bye-bye.